Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. It's been a little bit, and I know I said in my other one I might or might not make some, but occasionally I actually have time off, and I figured I'll make some whenever I can. So on my last video I kind of made an announcement about a big decision that I had decided to do, and that was to buy another boat, which to me is, I buy a lot of boats. I'm actually selling a boat this week. Well, it's a jet ski, but always swapping in and out, all that kind of stuff. But I decided to buy one that I wanted to do something different with, and I wanted to actually live on, and that's kind of a big deal. So as I said in the last video, living on a boat is so much more than just owning one. You have every problem of a house and then every problem of a boat, which I would still say there's more problems in a boat than a house. However, you have to learn how to do everything, and I mean everything yourself. So if you saw the last video, then this one is just more of a description of the boat. If you didn't see it, then you can flip over. I might or might not put a description in the link below to the other one. If not, it's on my page. But what I wanted to do is just describe a little bit of what I've done to the boat so far. So if you've seen the other one, then you'll see a drastic difference between then and now. Pretty much redid the entire interior and added a bunch of little fancy things to it. It really wasn't in bad shape. Again, it is a 1978 Irwin 42 catch, so it's pretty sizable for living, and for the most part everything was pretty much done with it. I really couldn't complain. Like, I mean, everything worked. Technically everything worked. Things needed to be overhauled a little bit and just kind of spruced up, but it could sail. It could live on as is. It was fine. It's just I kind of have standards of I wanted some things updated. So this is what this video is going to be on. So I'll take you on a quick tour of the boat and what I've done so far, and then from there probably describe a little bit of it. So without further ado, here we go. So as you can see, what has changed dramatically is the interior itself. So I did a lot of redesigning, painting, all this kinds of stuff. Basically what I did was painted the entire interior of the boat. So everything had to be sanded, like every bit of fiberglass on this boat. I took some grit 2, I used 220, and I sanded absolutely every surface on this boat, except for wood. Obviously I didn't have to do that on wood, but every other bit of fiberglass all around had to be sanded, and then had to be prepped and acetoned, and then primer paint had to be put on, which let me tell you, primer paint for fiberglass is very expensive. Like per quart, it's like $40 a quart. It's very expensive. And then I just went ahead and used oil-based paint, because it has to be oil-based because it's in a boat, number one, so there's going to be a lot of moisture. And number two, to actually get it to stick onto the glass, you have to use oil-based paint. So what I did was I wanted to go with a vibe of, essentially, I wanted it to feel almost like a margarita, kind of Margaritaville boat. Like, so if you step in it, I wanted it to feel like the tropics, like you're in Key West all the time, because you live on a freaking sailboat. Why would you not? So I decided to change the roof to kind of like that sky kind of blue. So the thing about a sailboat is that it's a little bit smaller compared to like a motor yacht, and so you feel like you're always enclosed. And my idea was I wanted to look up and feel like I was looking at the sky. There's a lot less windows. We've got these nice portholes and whatnot, but on a motor yacht, like, you would have ginormous glass, and so you're always looking out. So for me, just looking at a little window, I mean, I can still see out into the water, but I wanted it to feel like I was really outside. So I decided to do this this blue, like a light blue, sky kind of blue, and then like the turquoise, and then of course the green, just to stay into that kind of bluish color pattern. Obviously even my shirt, surf station, even everything I do is blue. So wanted to keep it kind of at that. But anyway, sanding everything was a lot of work. So I pretty much restored all of the wood. I wanted to turn all of the traditional wood trim that you see on a boat, which is really dark and it makes it feel small, and to me, I just don't like it, into something a lot brighter. So I did all of the trim everywhere into white. So anything that was brown original wood, which I know some people love because like, oh, it's so pretty wood, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I hate it. I love the white. Way, way, way better. And then I put a lot of these magnetic lights everywhere, just because why would I use my batteries when I can use these? I'll get to the batteries in a second there. So yeah, and then what I actually did, and it turned out I think fairly well, is I restored all of the port windows with headlight restoration, which is what you would use for like a car. And the camera's not really showing very well, but it actually is pretty dang clear. And so the same kind of stuff that you would use on your car headlight, I used on these, and it really took the oxidation off of the outside. You don't have to worry about it too much on the inside, but the outside really worked. All right, so going into the Salon, what I decided to do here was keep the same kind of color pattern. So the whole boat's gonna be anywhere from the light blue to the turquoise to the like green, some kind of lime green thing. And then of course the white will be all of the accent. Everything that you do on a boat though has to be power conscious. So how much watts are you gonna draw? What's your wattage, amps, all that kind of stuff. So everything that I would do electrical, I had to ask and survey and look on the internet of what does it take. So this is my wireless router. This is where I get all of my internets. It is actually a T-Mobile device. I've used this for a long time at other houses that I've been at and all kinds of application. So I decided when I lived on a boat, be no different. I just got another one to now be out here. This uses, I think it's like 15 watts, something around there, maybe 20. It's really not that bad. And then the television, this is a 32. I wanted to put a 42. Which would have taken up pretty much the entire wall, but then it came down to wattage. So this TV is a 27 watt, very light TV. I think the entire television weighs like 15 pounds, something like that. Actually, maybe even less. I think the whole television weighs like 12 pounds. It's stupid light. I mean, you just pick it up, and it's thin enough. So I was like, well, this will work because putting on this wall, this is wood here. It's not like fiberglass or something, and I could drill into it really easily. I just lighter and less amount of power consumption is the best. All of the lights on this boat, everything that's run off of the house and is actually wired in. So that would be all of like those lights, and then even like these lights. Anything that's a 12-volt system is all LED, so I don't have to worry too much because these are just using milliamps. But even then, I still like to try and run off of battery operated whenever I can. I mean, I will turn these on at night because I love a really bright place. Even at nighttime, I like to keep most lights on. But I don't want to just leave them on during the day and be that person that just walks away from the room. No, turn the lights out because I only have so much power. Speaking of power, we'll go into the electronics here. Now, this was something that my friend and I completely redid. So he is a certified technician for Crowley, and so he works on all the maritime boats and does all of their wiring. So he's more than capable. But essentially what we did was we went through the bus bars in the back and redid all of the cabling, and then went onto the actual breaker panel and redid all of the cabling and labeled everything because nothing was labeled. And then I went and got this new inverter. Now this is a pure sine 3600 watt inverter. And the reason I went with 3600 watts is because my breaker is a 30 amp breaker overall on AC power. So I got 120 volts and 30 amps. And to be able to figure out wattage, you do the volts times the amps, and that will give you your wattage. So this panel won't be able to hold over 3600 watts anyway. Once it hits that, it's gonna trip the breaker. So I figured, let me get an inverter that will match the max amount that this breaker can use. Likely, I will never actually use 37 watts all at once, but if I want to, there it is. So we have to go through and redo all of these and look at what's actually used and what's not. This one's still open, so I haven't opened. Oh, that's actually my inverter. Sorry, some of these are open. So I can still wire stuff up if I really want to. Used to be stuff like there was an electric head, and that was taken out and put to a manual pump, and so there's just an open circuit in there and all kinds of other things. There was a deck rinse that was taken off because who uses that? And so if I want to add stuff, I can. But anyway, on a boat, typically what you do is you have both AC and you have DC power systems. Now, unlike a house where everything is always AC and then your electronics will convert it over to DC and then actually technically back to AC. On a boat, you can actually run both because your batteries are going to be on a 12-volt direct current, typically 12, sometimes 24. So anyway, that was a big thing, redoing all of the electronics. both through this breaker and then through this nifty little control module. So I love this thing. This is by Blue Sea Systems. Victron also has one similar to this that a lot of people use, but it'll show me everything from my state of charge, which is coming in from the MPPT on my solar unit. It'll show how many amp hours I have. So right now I have 380 out of 440 amp hours total. And then I can go to DC. So this is through my inverter, about 120 volts. Let's see, build status. Okay, tanks, fuel, waste, which is my black tank, water. So I have 200 gallons of fresh drinking water, and obviously I'm running low, so I need to go and get some fresh water and refill on that. But 200 gallons will last me a long time. So I have not had to fill up my water in a while. House battery, which is a separate battery. I've got 4 house batteries, and then I have my starter battery, which, let's see, that goes through that. Start, house, obviously different. This is how many amps I'm currently using, DC wise. And again, it goes to the inverter and then back to the charge state. So everything ends up running through here, and I can always monitor what's going on. Now, the nice thing about this pure sine inverter as well is it came with its own small monitor, and it's much more simple than this complicated one over here. This will essentially show like, hey, you're at full charge, or you're starting to drain out of your batteries, and it actually has a low power alarm. It has an overheating alarm, a couple of different things. And then of course on here it'll actually say everything as well, just for the inverter and the house batteries. So there's redundancy in the system from my inverter over to the full control. Of course, this goes through everything in the system, and this is pretty much just for the inverter and the house batteries. Underneath me, I'm not going to pull it up right now, there are 4 deep cell, not lithium ion, but they are acid-based batteries, and so lead acid. What I need to do actually pretty soon is I'm going to be changing over those batteries onto lithium iron phosphate, and I'll do a whole video on that, but they'll last a lot longer. These ones were neglected a bit, and so what I found was they were completely dry. So whenever I checked each cell, which they had individual cells, each compartment was completely dry, and the batteries were actually swelling, which is really bad. And so they're still kind of holding a charge, but if I drop a heavy load on them, they're dropping charge, and that should not be happening. Your batteries, I mean, eventually will start draining, but it's not like if I turn on the microwave, it drops from like 12.8 all the way down to like 11.5, and that's really bad. So that is a sign to me that my batteries are on their way out. They're actually about 6 years old, so they lasted pretty long, but time to swap them out, and I'm gonna go lithium iron phosphate, deep cell batteries from here. Just, they work so much better, they can hold the charge better, so many different reasons. I'll make a video on that, and actually there's a lot of other videos that are out on that are really good as well. So anyway, back to the tour. I know I'm a little bit of everywhere in this video, but I'm just kind of updating y'all on everything on the boat. Yeah, so the Galley, this is a 3 burner propane, and then of course the oven is a single propane all the way down there. It works really good. Sad thing is, because of new regulations, newer boats are not able to use propane anymore, so they have to use like induction cooking, which burns more of your very limited power that you already have for electrical. So I'm so happy that I have propane, which lasts forever. I mean, you can use a 20-gallon propane tank in like 6 months. It just lasts forever and ever, and they're super cheap. I do have my little microwave as well if I want to. So this is a pretty light microwave, 700 watts, so it's not too big of a pull on my batteries. That's super helpful, but a lot of times I like to just do this over nuking it because this tastes better anyway. Sink, hot water, cold water, either or. I do have a water heater which passes through the heat exchanger, and I'll describe it, that's over there. Or it can be used off the inverter and heat the water as well. So again, 200 gallons of water to use throughout the entire boat. So, off. Yep. Let's see, what else am I going through? Oh yeah, okay, so down here, I don't want to take all of that out, but there is a 25-gallon black water tank under there for the head. And essentially what happens is the head, which is in here, and goes through this hose right there and then into the black water tank, which is right there. And so whenever that's full, I can just pump it right out into the river, because that's what I do. Or if you're at a marina, you could technically have the marina pump it out, which has an attachment up here on the deck, and then they'll just suck it out. But since I'm not at a marina, and because I don't care at all, I just pump it out into the river or ocean, or honestly wherever I am, because that's, yeah, okay, not even gonna go there. Sink, all that kind of stuff. And then shower, there's a sump underneath the shower, so this kind of drains into the sump under here pumps it out into the river or wherever you're floating. The sink goes basically down directly into here. Now the reason I'm making a big point about this is because for the most part, any seacocks that you're not using, like if you're away from the boat, always close your seacock when you're away. Otherwise, you somewhat could have water if you're in a big storm or something like that. It has a risk of coming and starting to flood. Specifically for heads. Heads are notoriously known for flooding boats. And quick story on that, actually, I have a friend of mine who just got a sailboat, and he was gone for 2 weeks over in Colorado. He was doing some snowboarding, came back to Florida, and went back to a sailboat, and legitimately his sailboat was nearly sunk. I mean, standing water was like up to his knees and stuff all throughout the cabin. And the reason why is because water started pouring in over a course of 2 weeks through his head, because he left the seacock open and somehow water was getting in. Really, really bad. So if you're away, close your seacocks, basically. All right, moving aft. We've got more storage down there. More storage down there. Same stuff down there. Oh, refrigerator. Okay, so that is a mini fridge, basically. And again, it runs off my inverter. So I actually have it plumbed onto the same line as the microwave. So the microwave and the inverter or refrigerator are kind of on their own. This is a 115, 120 volt, basically. Just regular AC power, like kind of dorm style fridge. And it pulls 55 watts, I'm pretty sure. So still able to use. Everything is within range. But it's just a matter of making sure you don't go over your 30 amps. That's a big thing. Underneath here, which I won't open this is my 16,000 BTU air conditioner system. Now, we live in Florida, so it gets hot. However, you're in a boat, so you've kind of accepted the fact that it's going to be warm. I love it hot all the time. I never run, I don't even in my car. I literally don't run the AC in my car. If I get warm, I kind of roll down the windows, or I drive a convertible, so I just drop the top. But I like it warm, and that's why I live in Florida. But sometimes I like the heat. So sometimes it gets cold in the evenings, like, you know, January, December, February. So this can also do heat. The problem with this is because it uses so many amps, which is about 12.5 running amps, like while it's running, it will seriously start to deplete the batteries, even though the inverter can hold up with it. It's just such a heavy draw. So I use this on my shore power, which essentially what I do for that is I switch over from the inverter to the main disconnect, which will come in and use my generator, which I have a full system generator that runs all of that. And the generator can hold that no problem. That's what it's designed to do. So whenever I want AC/heat, I switch over to my main power and then just run my air conditioner off of that. So on, off, there we go. And then that would actually run everything else. Everything at that point would be on the generator. Now, granted, I don't run this that often, so normally I am on inverter power, not generator power, but I could switch over if I want. So this is plumbed through here. It comes into the aft cabin, and then it's also plumbed all the way to the forward cabin, and then it just cools everything in between from there. All right, so moving back, this is the charge controller for the solar panel. And this is my office. In my last video, you would have seen this was completely gutted. This used to be a second head, and why you would want two heads makes no sense at all, because one head is already enough problems with plumbing and your tanks already fill over that, so two heads is stupid. So I decided to turn my two head into a one head, which is up there, and now one head, now an office, which used to be one head. So I decided to get an extra wide monitor because my normal office has 3 monitors, and so this extra wide kind of bent one, it's got a curved screen, will act as 2. I can split it into 2 digital virtual monitors, which actually works really, really well. And I can use my laptop as my 3rd monitor. So there we go, back to normal. And the nice thing is that this only pulls, I think, what is this, 55 watts? Yeah, it pulls like 7 amps, so not too bad. Or actually, no, it's less than that. Oh, I don't remember. It's not very much of a pull. And of course, this is powered on its own, so I don't have to worry about drawing even more power with it being plugged in unless I'm charging it. But yeah, again, light use. The desk I custom built myself, got all the dimensions, cut it, and then put this nice gloss coat over it. Really worked out really, really well. Aft section, this is where I stay. This is the captain's quarters up here in the back. So kind of, you saw the other videos, a big renovation, everything looks much better now. I did put on new chain plates. I'll do a video on that, but I had to replace all the chain plates and then seal them because there was some leaking, so that was another big thing that I had to go through. But other than that, yeah, I mean, under here is my tiller. This is normally controlled via cable. So cable controls are in there, but if for some reason my cable pulleys were to break, then I can use the tiller, which comes up through the berth, and then underneath the forward section of the berth is my hot water heater, which again runs through either the engine or it can be powered on its own. So, yep, this is the aft quarters. Alright, we'll go back forward a little bit towards the engine compartment, which I will turn on my engine light. Alright, and this is my little Perkins beast. My little Perkins. I love this thing. This engine is a diesel, just absolute tank. Love this thing. It is indestructible, so I've been told on every website and by every people that own them and by people that know about them in every marina. They're just the best. Everyone loves Perkins. Perkins and Yanmar, both of those can't go wrong with. It's a little 50 horse 4-cylinder 4108. There's a lot I've done to this. I'll make a whole video about it, but essentially replaced the circulatory pump for the internal water. I replaced the expansion tank for the internal water again. I replaced the raw water pump for the raw external water. What else? I replaced the ignition system, the fuel system, updated that. Had to do a little bit of work to the 100 amp alternator, which is on there. Redid a lot of, all of this is completely new piping because the other stuff is just kind of corroded and rusted. And did a couple other little things to it. I kind of forgot. A lot of oil changes. Thing about Perkins, they all leak oil like crazy. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I just say that it's external lubricating, like self-external lubricating, which helps against rust. So we're good, because we're good. There's not much rust on here because it leaks oil like crazy, which is awesome. I gotta love it. Okay, now it's super windy up top, but I might be able to go above deck and show you around a little bit. So without further ado, let's go up top. All right, this I also built myself. This is made out of that kind of composite kind of wood stuff, and so got my own little companionway doors, and I can lock it. You can like get these custom ordered and all that kind of stuff, and I have seen them upwards to like literally $1,000, $800. Okay, I went to Home Dopey and got this kind of stuff, and I think my entire everything from the door material to the hinges and then the lock and everything, I think I spent like $50. So cut it yourself, not that hard. you live on a sailboat, work on a sailboat, you need to learn how to be a carpenter anyway. Okay, so this is above deck. Now, again, it's super windy, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear me real well. It was blowing at like 20 knots today. Perfect day to go sailing, but I had to work at the church, so can't go sailing. Okay, so this is a center console sailboat, meaning at which the console, the helm is in the center. The cockpit, it's a center cockpit. And I like it because I keep it very, very simple. So out of all my sheets, I essentially have one sheet, one halyard to raise the main. And then I have another halyard that I use for the Genoa. It's 120% Genoa. This one just stays forever and ever. I never really have to raise it or lower it unless I'm doing stuff to the Genoa. Which recently, I actually did get the Genoa restitched, and then I got the clue on the bottom and the clue on the top redone as well. Redid the rigging. Like I said, I'll go into what I did for the rigging and the chain plates in another video. But yeah, nice little bow pulpit, and then I've got my ground tackle here. Now this is a windless, which I would use with my anchor, which is a 50-pound anchor up there. It's oh, I forgot the name for it. Like kind of standard. And then of course I have my actual ground tackle here. Basically, what I did for ground tackle is I decided to run 200 feet of 1-inch chain underneath, and then I attached it to what's called a helix anchor. And a helix anchor, as I can put in the video, is basically like a 6-foot pole with these giant threads on it that you drill into the sand. And so what I did was I drilled it down into the hard pan. I went scuba diving and I hand drilled this. And so I've got 200 feet of 1-inch chain connected to a helix anchor, which is drilled 60 down into the hard pan itself. And then I've got this, what is it? Half-inch rope, which is holding my boat. So the point of saying all of this is I don't care if there's a hurricane or whatever. This boat's not going anywhere. The thing that would fail is my cleat. My cleat would break before anything else. The shackles that are on that thing are 1-inch shackles that are used on like commercial towboats. I'm good. I've got more than enough ground tackle that I need. So not worried about ever dragging anchor or anything on this mooring, which is a personal mooring that I installed. Alright, so moving aft. Essentially got some nice walk around gunnels. I actually like this because there's a lot of room on the side as compared to some sailboats, which is like really short. And these side gunnels, as you can see up front, they actually really high, so you've got kind of plenty of room to not worry about like falling out or falling off, because this is about 10 inches raised. I really like that. Just feels really secure. Coming around to the aft, nice winches. I like to keep them covered when I'm not using them. And then of course I've got my mizzen sail, which I do not have the sail. I do have the boom for, but I took the boom off and I'm keeping it back at my dock with the ski boat, which by the way, there's my little ski boat over there. I should do a review on those shades, because those shades were amazing that I installed on there. It really keeps the ski boat nice. So anyway, I've got one solar panel right now. I am getting a second one. I've already got everything kind of wired for it. The wiring's just right there. And then I also bought a vertical wind turbine, which we'll see how well the vertical ones are. A lot of people don't like them, but it's cheaper and they're going to do it because it conserves space. So that will be able to bring in additional power. This is a 220 watt max solar panel, and the other one I will probably also do a 220 or maybe more. I'd love to have more, honestly, plus the wind turbine, which was like it claims to do like 400 watts. We'll actually see. I don't really know. And this is my small weather station. So this is one of those Wi-Fi enabled weather stations, so I could be anywhere in the world and see exactly what the weather is on my boat. It's everything from like dew point pressure to how much rain, obviously wind. It says like UV, how much solar it's taking in, so you can kind of know all of that. Barometric pressure, everything. Absolutely love this. So that is, let's see, that's about it. Oh, there's my generator under there. It's a 5,000 watt generator. Again, 30 amps, so it can hold anything that the boat really needs. Under here is my propane tank, and then I just keep it for additional storage of all my mooring lines and all of that. Then I have my little swim platform down there, and of course my dinghy. A little 5 horsepower Evinrude. That thing's great. A little dinghy. So basically what I do is I dinghy from here to my dock over there, and then I go to shore. And that's how it works. Yep. Okay. Helm's got standard equipment. It's got a Garmin on there and a chart plotter and all that kind of stuff. The only thing it doesn't have right now is an autopilot, which I do want to get. But okay. That is a summary of my new home, my sailboat, where I live. On the water, because I love it. Future videos to follow. If you liked this, then go ahead and click the like. And if you want to ask questions or leave a comment down there. And if you want to see future videos, which will be out whenever they come out, then subscribe. But thanks for stopping by. God bless y'all, and enjoy the tropics.